Hello everyone, this is going to be a short video. It's kind of like a movement snack for those of us who have to spend lots of time on a computer, sitting at a desk. And whilst it's obviously great to work with your body for a long period of time, to move it for a long period of time, for example, yoga class, it's also really important to very frequently move your body, to give your body a diversity of positions and movements. And so what I'm going to show you is something that you can do at your desk whilst you're working. If you can take a break, it's even better, but you could even do that whilst doing something at your desk. First thing is to make sure that you're sitting in a way that is going to be good for your back. What often happens is a lot of chairs are going to be a little bit slumped at the back, so that it's almost like you're forced to sit with a slight roundness in the back, which is not good either for the lower back, nor is it good for the junction of the legs to the pelvis and the lower back. So sitting on something, it could be a blanket, it could be a pillow. I have this foam block, and I basically lean the edge against the back of the chair so that it counteracts that slump downwards with a slight slump forwards. And ideally you want to have your pelvis tipped a tiny bit forward, because then the lower back has its natural curve. Yeah, so that's one thing to check. Ideally you want to have the knees same height as your hip joints or a tiny little lower, your feet on the ground, like really comfortably spread on the ground, or anything that you might need to prop your feet on. And so we're going to start with something super simple. Find your hips. Sometimes you need to touch yourself to help yourself with that first movement, and feel those two bones that you are literally sat on. In English, they're referred to as the sit bones for a reason. And we're simply going to move from the front to the back of them. And it's going to be a little bit like we're on a swing or in a rocking chair. And you get to decide if the movement should be a big or a small one, depending on how it feels in your body. Yeah, so you want to feel that those hips that you're holding, the pelvis that you're holding in between your hands is really the part that's doing the movement, not the upper or middle spine, but that pelvis itself and the lower back. And so what we're doing here is encouraging the muscles that help us have a good posture sitting up. We're encouraging them to be active and then relax, be active and then relax, shorten when they're active, lengthen when they're relaxing, even stretching them a little bit. And then slowly we're going to make that movement smaller to find the point where we feel like we're sitting right in the middle of our sit bones, rather than onto the front or onto the back of them, so we don't feel like we're tilting either forwards or backwards. And that might be kind of new. You might be like, oh, that's how it feels to sit upright. Might feel slightly more easy than it normally does. And then we're simply going to let the weight go from one sit bone to the other. That could be a tiny little movement, and all of those things kind of encourage also a massage of the muscles, the fascia that are in the bum, around the lower back, in the pelvis. It also means that your brain kind of stays really aware of those parts. Stimulation through that movement, through the shift of weight and pressure, helps your brain stay really connected to that and keeps those parts of the body really innervated, so flushed with blood and sensation and kind of nervous information, which is really good. And then you'll notice that as you shift the weight from one sit bone to the other, your knees are kind of sliding forwards and backwards a little bit. One slides forwards, the other slides back. And we're simply going to focus now on that movement by making it a little bit bigger. So you're going to help one knee as it slides forwards to slide forward a little further, and then do that with the other one, simply shifting which knee slides forward. And it's going to look a little bit as if you were leisurely walking or kind of dancing. And you can see it from my video, but you can also feel it in your body. This movement, the sliding of one knee forward and the other back, creates like a slight turn and spiral of the spine and the chest. So a turn of the chest and a spiral of the spine. And it helps you create space in your waist, your lower back. It massages the tissues that connect the pelvis, pelvic floor to the lower back, middle back, the chest, the ribs, the rib cage. And we have a very big, thick band of fascia, so the connective tissue that connects the lower and the middle spine. It's called the thoracolumbar fascia. So thoraco, the middle spine, lumbar, the lower spine. And this is great because it's like we're massaging it with this movement. And you might want to stay really quiet here, especially if you can't really take big movements, either because you're on a video or you have people around you. Or maybe next time you notice that your arms are also kind of sliding, one forward, one backward. And you might want to slide and lift the arm that's going forward and then bring it back and kind of add the arm movement to the movement of your legs, your chest, your spine. And it's kind of helping you to create a little bit more length around the side of the chest and bring some movement to your shoulders. So maybe that lifting also includes a little circling back. So you also bring a little bit of movement to your shoulder joint. Don't they also feel the fact that we have to say a lot, those poor shoulder joints. We're going to let the movement get smaller and smaller throughout the body, both in the arms, in the chest, in the legs, until we come back to the middle, the weight even between both sit bones, still sitting right onto the middle of those sit bones, and we just take a moment to feel how are we doing. You might feel completely different or a little bit different in the back, in the chest, in the legs. You might be like, wow, I have those body parts. I didn't feel them before, but now I do. Your breath might be different. Okay, let's place the hands on the shoulders and we're going to open up a little bit more like the middle spine up towards the neck. And we're going to open up the diaphragm. So relax your elbows against each other and you're just going to take a little bit of a turn from side to side. And you can keep it pretty slow and pretty small if you want to. So now we're really focusing on moving those elbows, like your elbows are a lighthouse that needs to illuminate the sea in front and to the sides of you. And we're starting the movement with the elbows, and the nose is simply pointing in the same direction of your elbows. And then as we keep going with this movement, as things start to loosen, if you want to turn the head a little bit more to either side, then you can do that, but you don't have to. Sometimes it's a bit much on the neck. Sometimes it also feels good. So just try it out and then decide based on what you feel if it's good today or if you'd rather keep it simple. Last few rounds. As you do that, maybe you yawn. And if you yawn, a really big yawn. Good, let's slowly make the movement smaller and smaller, like a wave that's slowly kind of quietening. Arms come down. How are we doing? Take the arms above you, interlace the hands, and we're going to push those palms up. Reach up, really try to lift the ribs. Maybe the time to yawn now. And then open the arms out to the side. One last movement. It's like as if you were wringing a towel that's full of water and you want to get rid of some of that water. So one arm, the bones of that arm are going to roll forward and the bones of the other arm are going to roll back. And then you change. And just notice that as you do that, naturally your shoulders are going to move. One is going to lift, one is going to drop, one is going to roll forward, one is going to roll back. And that your head is also kind of going to do a little dance from side to side. Your chest is going to do a little dance from side to side. Again, movement could be kept small or big. It's totally up to you. One last little twirl. And that's it. How are we doing? Enjoy this. You can do parts of it. You can do all of it if you have time. You can compose it based on what feels like, that's exactly what my body was waiting for. And your needs might change from day to day. Yeah? Take good care of yourself.